big welcome to our listeners back in for episode number 3 of the Beyond Condition podcast. So we're really lucky today, I'm sure you all agree, Rob, that we've got a special guest, Rob Latti. So Rob is a performance mindset coach, and he works within our sport with bodybuilders and various different athletes, but also different people from different walks of life. So we have got him on our pod before when we were doing YouTube videos. So it's a great opportunity to get you back, Rob, and talk a bit about managing expectations as we get closer to February, which we've all agreed is where it tends to pick up for people trying to get back into goal setting and different things after that sort of Christmas, and January is a bit of a, you're waiting to get paid and various other things. So it'd be really good to confuse the listeners and give some guidance as to how they can bring that into their forward thinking now.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a great topic. And before we get started, I just want to say thanks for having me again. It's always great to catch up with you guys, see what's going on in your worlds as well, which we've had a little natter before this pod started. But thank you for having me. But great topic, by the way, and very, very, very important. So when we talk about managing expectations, some people jump into this very, very quickly, and I'd like to take it back a step or two on that, because obviously I'm a mindset coach. I specialize in human behavior. So as you said, I work with a lot of people in the bodybuilding community and also other sports as well, but also business owners as well. But when you take it back, when we talk about managing expectations, I always say strip it back a bit first, because what people do is they jump in, they set expectations or goals and things, but they don't know themselves. And the saying, to thine own self be true, be true to yourself. What you've got to do, and what I mean by that is, what you've got to do is look at yourself first, because you can't manage your expectations until you know you. And what I mean by that is, one of the things I do with a lot of my clients is we look at core values, we look at human needs, we look at who they are, we go very introspective, we get really inside that individual, who they are, what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, who are you, what do you stand for, what do you value? Because without knowing them, it's very difficult to manage your expectations, because it's easy to say, right, this year I'm going to, I don't know, I'm going to win 3 shows or something, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that. But you don't really know that there's a deficit in your personality somewhere that's going to stop you actually achieving that. So when we go introspective, when we look at that individual and we start working on certain areas of them, going really deep inside, certain things can come up, certain things that are holding you back. If, for example, I don't know, let's say you struggle getting up in the morning and doing a basic morning routine that's good for you, and you can't do that. Who says that you can go and win a competition, and you've got the strength of mindset to win a competition if you can't even get up and eat the right foods and have a right morning routine? Who's to say that you can win a competition if you can't have a structured week? Are you a person maybe listening to this right now, a bodybuilder, and do you set your week out and plan your week ahead? Food, diet, training, everything down to your kit and everything. Because if you can't be bothered, there's a saying that I live by now, and I love this saying. It's and I talk to a lot of my clients about it, and it goes, how you do anything is how you do everything, right? And it's so true. You can't cut a corner in one area of your life and be exceptional in another. Okay, you can't be someone who's very lazy and snoozes the snooze button 7 times in the morning, rolls out of bed, scratches your bum, goes in the bathroom, maybe tiredly, bleary-eyedly brushes your teeth, and then stumbles downstairs and has a bit of toast and a black coffee for breakfast, but then say you're going to go on and make it to Olympia. It's just not going to happen. You're not, because you're not that type of person. Does that make sense? So it's understanding who you are first. What are your flaws? What are the things that inherently within you are weak? Then when you've got that blueprint, then you can manage expectations. Then you can say, right, this year I want to do this, and this, because I know that's within a capability. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm the first one to say, hey, goals should be up here. They should be high as the sky, because if you miss your goals, then you're going to be very close to that. But, you know, if you set your goals low, you're going to be very low if you miss them. I'm very one for that, but I still believe that they should be, and this might trigger a few people, because I still believe they should be at least attainable. Now, there is a big thing at the moment on social media and all the rest of it about, hey, just go for it. You can achieve anything. You can do whatever you want. And even if you follow me, you'll see on a lot of the posts I put out, I always talk about, go get it. You've got this. You can do whatever you want to do if you really put your mind to it. And what I mean by that is, of course you can do whatever you want to do, but there is to a certain extent. There's no point in saying, hey, I'm going to go for an Olympia stage this year, and you've never even entered a competition. It's just not going to happen. I'm sorry, it's just not, right? So yes, there has to be a modicum of common sense to your expectations. So it's setting them, first of all, getting to know you, getting to know what you stand for and who you are, your strengths, your weaknesses, everything about yourself, because a lot of people, most of us, do not know that. And then once you understand that, then setting expectations that are at arm's reach, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm also straight away thinking,
sorry.
I'm thinking about environment as well, because I think a lot of people forget that the environment is such a big part to any goal setting. And, you know, say you've got a full-time job, you've got 4 kids, you've got, you know, a wife or a husband, and you've got lots of commitments, and then you're going to try and do a prep, rather than go balls deep into it and not consider all of those factors. It's about, you know, sitting down with the people that are concerned, looking at your work, you know, is it realistic for you to go into a prep or a diet while you've got a highly stressed job? You know, so many different things that people don't consider. They think, oh, I can just, you know, crack on.
And those things then hold them back. And again, that goes back to managing yourself, because you might have all those things in your life and still think you can go and do it. But then that's a deficiency in yourself again, because you're a bit selfish. You're not taking into consideration those people around you. And somewhere in that next year, 6 months, whatever, you're going to hit a lot of roadblocks that you may not have thought were there because of your blinkered selfish view that you just didn't even consider at first. But all of a sudden now you've got the wife or the kids screaming at you, wanting your attention, and you're like, holy crap, I thought I'd be able to train twice a day and sleep and eat and rest as well. No, you can't. So again, that's about knowing to thine self be true, you know, knowing yourself and understanding, and like you quite rightly said, understanding your environment and everything that goes with it. Because if you really want to be serious about your journey in bodybuilding or whatever it may be in life, you've got to really look at yourself. Everything starts with self. It all starts with your mindset, all starts within. And once you understand that, everything else is so much easier. But what most of us do, we go into stuff kind of blindly, not really thinking about this stuff, because it does sound a bit woo-woo and a bit out there, and everyone's like, oh, what's all that? I'm just get up and I go to the gym and I push weights and that's it, and I'll rock up on stage and it'll be fine. But, and listen, some people do that and do okay, right? That's fine. Yeah. But if, in my mind's eye, and the people I work with now, it's like, if you want to be a champion, if you really want to excel, you have to go to a different level now, because the standard is different now. And, you know, I'm working with 2 people at the moment who are both bodybuilding pros, and they aiming to get to Olympia. And, you know, sometimes the conversations are candid and very direct. And sometimes, you know, have to call people out on their BS, you know. At the end of the day, if you want it, you've got to ask yourself how bad you want it. And then you've got to look at yourself, look at what areas are deficient, and deal with it. You can't just say, oh, it'll be okay if I just do this, or it'll be okay if I just do that, or I just wanted to spend a couple of days with my boyfriend and do this because I'm a bit. No, nobody cares. If you know, it just sounds brutal, but it's true. Listen, you've just, again, it's about knowing yourself, and this is stuff I go over with people. First of all, it's finding out what level do you really want to be at? Really, not what you'd like to be all fluffy, really, because there's a difference. There's a difference between a bodybuilder, like two girls I'm working with right now. They're pros. They want to hit Olympia. That's it for them. There's nothing else. They're not interested, right? So the conversation and the way we work is totally different. But you might be a bodybuilder listening to this and just think, do you know what? And if you start to do the work, you realize that actually, I'm not too fussed about getting to that level. But if I can get on stage and have some fun with it and enjoy the process, and you know, and hey, if I get a top 6, I'd be ecstatic. It'd be great, you know, or a top 3, it'd be off, you know, I'd be over the moon. And then it's an enjoyable process. Then you can do that. Then you can sleep in the odd few days and, you know, have a cheat, you know, eat some nonsense here and there. And you can do all this stuff because you know why you're going into the sport, what you're wanting from it. You are, in effect, managing expectations, okay? But if you're BSing yourself, which a lot of people I've worked with are, and they don't even know it, they're talking about a big game, they're talking about achieving levels that, I'm sorry, they're just not mentally equipped to get to. And they're not living the life to be able to achieve that. They're doing things, eating, sleeping wise, rest wise, that are detrimental to their journey as a bodybuilder. And they will not. And if you're listening to this now, it might hit home. There may be a few home truths in there, but you will not get to the level that you want to get to. So
because it's a selfish sport, isn't it?
It's a tough one.
Oh, where's he gone? Is he back?
Is he back? Where's Rob gone?
I wondered if it was mine or your internet, but
yeah, you never know, do you, when it starts?
He was on a roll. He was in the mix, and he's disappeared. Let's see if we can get him back. I'll pause for a second.
He's back.
You're back. We paused. You were on a roll. We're getting right into that there.
I was on a roll and I can't even remember what I was saying. You'll have to do some editing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will.
You were talking about the two pro bodybuilders that you're working with at the moment, and home truths, hard truths that, you know, if you want to be, it's deciding on where your level is and understanding, you know, where you need to be to get into that.
Yeah, and I went off on one because I didn't realize it had frozen for a while, so I went off on one for another like full minute, and I took it. I don't.
Well, I mean, going back to your whole point there about core values and knowing yourself, I think is massive, because, and it's a terrifying exercise to do. I think a lot of people avoid that kind of questioning inside, you know, because a lot of people have these grand, like large ideas of grandeur, what they want to achieve, whether it's in their life, their business, their relationship. And they begin, you know, fresh on a Monday with that headspace. And then, you know, comes Tuesday, Wednesday, and you suddenly start to realize, and let's just take the bodybuilding goal, the level of dedication, the focus, the structure, everything that has to go into that. And it's not just a frivolous, fun idea anymore. You've got to put the work in. And that's then when, you know, your values are kind of questioned, you come into play with, how much do you want this? And I often kind of think that if something is intrinsically aligned with your highest values and your priorities in life, it feels easy because you love it, you're invested in it. And where you find the conflict is most of the time, I feel, down to you not having your values quite in line, and you're challenging against them, and that's why it doesn't feel easy.
And that's why you've got to do the inner work. That's why, as I said before, you've got to look at what do you want from the game, really, but go into it deeply, because sometimes it can be on a surface level. Oh, I want to do this. I want to win a pro or I want to be a British champion or whatever. And that might be because someone you respect on Instagram is one, or your friend is one, or you've been to a show and you know somebody, you know, but it's not really in line with what you really, really want. It's just something you've seen and you've gone headlong into that. And that's why I was saying, you've got to really look at what do you really want. And the people I work with, you know, like I said, that they know exactly what they want now because we've done that work and made sure that is actually what they want. And there has been a couple of them that we've had to turn them around a bit and go, actually, no, I don't want to go to that level. I don't want to do that. And as I was saying before, and I don't know if we got this before we got cut off or not, but I was saying before, some people, once you've done the work, it may come out that you just want to enter a competition. And like I said, if you get to a top 6 placing or a top 3, it's great. You know, you're like, hey, I've done great. I'm enjoying the ride. I've enjoyed the journey. I've really had fun on the day. I've got on stage, and that's what it's about for me. And that might be your journey as a bodybuilder, that you just want to get on stage, do as best you can, have fun with it. And if you get a placing, that's brilliant, and that's it. But there's nothing wrong with that, and that's fine. That's having a hobby, and that's enjoying it. And that way, then you can, because you know yourself, because you've gone within and you've worked all this out, you can then, you know, miss those meals here and there. You can have a life, you can have some fun with it because you know what your expectations are, you know what you're trying to achieve. And there's no point going down the route that I see a lot of people do, really being ultra hard on themselves, trying their best to achieve something that is way, way, way out of their league. And it's, quite frankly, it's just not going to happen. And as a high performance mindset coach, people might say, well, isn't that counterproductive? Don't you say anybody can achieve any? No, they can't. Sorry. No, you can't. I'm sorry. You know, listen, I want to play centre forward for Manchester United, right? I want to be Ronaldo, okay? And I want to be scoring in front of, you know, the fans at that end of the pitch and getting the adulation from them all. But unfortunately, I'm just not good enough. And I could train every day for the rest of my life, and I'm not going to be good enough. It's just that simple. So it's the same principle. Some people, it might be genetic, it might be something else, but some people are just not good enough. They'll never get onto the Olympia stage, say, for a bikini athlete or whatever, right? But that's where it comes to knowing yourself. And then you don't get the massive disappointments and everything else. Understand yourself, understand your mindset, understand what you're good at, what you're strong at, what are your weaknesses, you know, in all areas of your life. You know, are you organized? Because organization plays a big part once you start getting up to a serious level in bodybuilding. If you're massively unorganized, you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle in every area, because you have to not only organize your training, your food, your diet, you have to organize your relationships, your family, your friends. All of this stuff gets in the way. There's so much to deal with. So understanding yourself, then you can set expectations, but expectations that you can live up to and deal with, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying, for those people who might be listening to this saying, oh, right, so we've got to set low goals. I'm not saying that at all. It's not about having low goals. You can have huge goals, but still in line with who you are and what you're capable of having a modicum of a chance of achieving. It does no one any good setting a goal that is absolutely unachievable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it kind of sets you up for defeat, doesn't it? I mean,
yeah.
I did a coming onto this because I was thinking about this podcast. I did a post yesterday about an internal reflection review to do between this kind of time of the year just gone, but being really exactly like what you're saying, just being really authentic with yourself and having a good look at, you know, your weaknesses, where you were really challenged this last year, what goals you set yourself up to but you didn't achieve, and why was that? Because that's going to be a huge reason as to, you know, if you've still got those goals going forward, why are they not achievable then, and how are you going to make them achievable now? And then just that complete understanding of clarity around what is realistic, because I see it all the time as well in a lot of my clients. You know, a realistic goal, I'll get a complete newbie who's maybe done one season of competing and wants to be the next level. She or he wants to turn pro next year. And the likelihood of that is very, very, very slim, unless, you know, genetically they're phenomenal. And that is exactly that. It's setting people up with a clear set of expectations to go into their year feeling like they're going to achieve and succeed, not go in with false kind of expectations and then feel hard done by when they don't get it. That's kind of, I think, a big one as well. But
there's
I
also
sorry, Sarah,
I think sometimes looking at your inner circle as well, you know, well, I say inner circle, but you know, the people that are around you, because if you are looking to succeed in the sport of something like bodybuilding, you need that rigidity, you need that routine when you're in a prep, you need support at times. You know, we're all probably quite guilty of not wanting to take the support, but sometimes it is needed as you get into especially the tail end of a prep. If it's your first prep as well, you know, there might be first timers listening that think, you know, oh, I'm going to go into this, it's fine, I've dieted before, but it's very different when you get to that point where you're heading for that stage lean. So it's about trying to communicate with those people that you say live with, you know, maybe not associating with the people that are negative around what you're trying to do. And I've definitely found, and I think you have, Steff, as well, that those people do slowly sort of drift off away from your circle.
Yeah.
And it's hard sometimes, I think, on reflection, because some of those friends, you know, like we say, your pizza friends, you know, like school friends that are like, oh, should we go and have a pizza? And you're, you know, 8 weeks into a prep, and it's like, I can't really do that. And you want to be able to say, you know, I can still come and have a Diet Coke, but I'm not going to eat with you guys. That takes a level of strength from you as well. And it's a lot of different social scenarios that I've been in when I'm in prep. I feel like it's almost everyone else that's like, are you okay? Do you need something? And it's like, I'm fine, you know, I've got my meals, I've got my Diet Coke or water or whatever it is. And it's
your shit together more than they have.
But I mean, I don't know if you could shed some light on that, Rob, you know, why it is that when you're in a prep or you're focused on a goal and you try and say to people, look, I'm absolutely fine, you have your meal, why it is that, you know, almost every person there needs to impart some knowledge on you.
Especially in and also those people who haven't got any knowledge at all, you know. they still want to tell you something about what you're doing. Listen, it doesn't take an expert. It's just people, they care about you and they want to help. And some people help blindly, though. They help, but not realizing that they actually don't know what they're talking about. And they're just your friends, like parents. Oh, you really should eat a little bit more, you know, and they don't really understand that, Mum, that's not going to get me down to the percentage of body fat that I need. I'm sorry. It's just, you know, that's not going to happen. Look, everyone does it from their own, you know, perspectives, and a lot of people, if they're not in the bodybuilding world, they just don't get it. So I get that, and that's absolutely fine. But again, going back to the title of this program, you know, managing expectations. This is all about you having to manage expectations, because this is what's going to happen along the journey. And the more you do this journey, the more you understand it, the more you can manage expectations, and the more you can set it's like Steff was saying before about looking at what you did last year and having those goals, why you didn't hit them, and then looking at, like she said, why you don't hit them and why you didn't hit them, sorry. And more importantly, what are you going to do differently? And that's the key of what you were saying there. And people, and this is why they come to me, a lot of people don't do this. And the reason a lot of people don't do it is because it's freaking scary.
It's horrible.
Nobody wants to say it. Nobody wants to admit it. Nobody wants to tell them so. So it's very easy to put blinkers on and just crack on and forget last year and forget that you like to miss one training session a week because you just can't be asked, or you like staying up late watching Netflix. You have the odd meal. Favorite programs on. You like to eat that sticky toffee pudding. That's my one, by the way. I love sticky toffee pudding. Yeah. But for me, it's the best pudding in the world, bar none. But anyway, that's another.
I need to ask you a question. Important question. Are we custard or are we ice cream?
Do you know what? Everyone asks this, right? But you know what? Do you know what I am? I am single pouring cream.
Oh.
So I'm almost in the middle, right?
Wow.
Yes, single pouring cream is what I love on it. But I can have it with custard and I can have it with ice cream. But pouring cream.
I can adapt.
So we digress. But you know, it's understanding all these things basically and being true. So looking at what you did previously, what held you back, what went wrong, what did you not do so well, and why? The why is the most important question. Why was that holding you back? Why couldn't you do that? Why can't you get out of bed? Why can't you do a full week's training? Or why can't you eat a full week's meal plan that you've got without going off piste a little bit and losing it? Yeah. And a lot of it can sometimes, when you go and do the inner work at the beginning, this is why we always do it at the beginning, is because sometimes that why that you've set yourself, that goal, that expectation is not real. It's not yours. You don't really, really want it. You know, and I've worked with I've worked with thousands of people over the years around the world, but I've worked with so many bodybuilders, hundreds of them over the last 5 years. And the amount of them that BS themselves is incredible. It's incredible. And most of them don't even know they're doing it until they work with me. They don't realize that actually that goal isn't yours. That goal is a friend of yours or your circle's goal. They've said, hey, you could do that. You could do this. You know, there's so much that comes out of it. And then when you dig deep with them, actually, they're not that fussed. They're not that fussed. And it's they put themselves through all this effort, and actually they don't need to. A lot of people listening to this right now really want you to do a little bit of this introspective and ask yourself, why am I doing this bodybuilding? What am I in it for? What do I want to achieve? Why am I doing it? Right? And listen, you love the game, you love the industry, you love the people you've met, you love traveling around to shows, and you want to get on stage, you enjoy the buzz of being on stage, you enjoy putting on a beautiful bikini and looking great, and you just enjoy all that. And in all that thought process, it never once comes to your mind that you could win an Olympian title or a pro card or a British title or a world champion title. Then you're in it for a hobby. And just allow yourself to be really good amateur and just a hobby and have fun with it. Because I think it was you, Sarah, said before, you know, this game is hard, right? I work with a lot of boxers. I did 20 years of boxing myself. So I understand sports, I understand the psychology. And one of the reasons for me getting out, apart from being too old in the end of boxing, was the dieting was brutal. I couldn't do it anymore. And it wasn't that I couldn't diet anymore. It was because my drive to get where I wanted to get in boxing wasn't strong enough to do the dieting anymore. Because people say these throwaway comments, right? I can't diet anymore. It's not that you can't diet anymore, because that's just a physical act. I can diet if I want to. It's just I haven't got anything strong enough to make me want to go through all the pain of doing the dieting. Yeah, so it's the same with bodybuilding, right? Yeah, it's the same with bodybuilding. You've got to have something that is strong enough to pull you through all the pain, all those dark days, the tears, the tantrums, the rumbling bellies, all of that. That's going to pull you through. And if it's not your dream, it won't work. If it's somebody else's dream, or if it's someone you've seen, or you're buying into something else, it just won't work. You've got to be true to yourself. Then you can work a lot easier. If you say, hey, listen, I just want to get on stage, and if I can get a top 3, I'll be super happy with that. Great. Then you can work towards that, and you can live a life that's in line with that, rather than absolutely killing yourself and then being super depressed 3 years down the line when you're nowhere near Olympia, and you haven't even got a pro card, and you haven't even won a competition.
Yeah. And even stuff we spoke about on the last session, Rob, you'll probably remember one of your clients had been going through a tough time in their prep, and they'd got divorced. And, you know, at that 3-year reflection, thinking, oh shit, you know, I poured everything into a prep and I hadn't managed my expectations. And now, you know, you might be divorced, you might have missed out on certain big things that you then look back on and think, I didn't want to miss out on those things. Whereas some of us, you know, that are really focused on the sport, the different things that come up through preps and competing in general, it's almost worth it because we want to dedicate. I'm not saying, you know, everything is the big reasons that you come across, but there's certain things like, you know, going to a hen do, that doesn't bother me if I go and I don't partake in the drinking games, for example. You know, there's loads of different things like that you can go, well, actually, I'd rather get a pro card. Whereas some people go, oh, well, I'll do the drinking games and I'll try and get the pro card.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
No,
it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. One of the kind of mindset shifts that I spoke to one of my clients about a couple of weeks ago about Olympia was that there's like, how many people on the stage? 27 or something? Or 30?
Crazy.
Let's say 30, right? On the Olympia stage, right? And in bodybuilding, I don't even know, you know, but I know in England, tens of thousands of people, girls bodybuilding now, right? Thousands of people. Those of which that compete, I don't know, throwaway figure, 5,000, I don't know, 10,000, I don't know, right? Now, times that by most of the countries, the developed countries around the world, hundreds of thousands of girls, let's say bikini class, hundreds of thousands of them around the world want to do it. And there's 30 people going to get on that stage at the end of the year. Now, out of those 30, how many are going to be there that were there last year? Probably about 20, maybe 15. Yeah. I don't know, at least, right? You guys probably know better than me, right? But a good proportion of them are so good, they will definitely be back next year, right? So how many up for grab places really are there? You know, 10, 15, I don't know, right? We're talking the absolute elite to get there.
1%.
Yeah. So if you don't want to miss the drink at the hen do, or you don't want to go to bed early, or you don't want to get up on the alarm and go get training done, or you don't, you know, come on, you know, if you're listening to this, you've got to get real.
Yeah.
You know, 10 places a year, you've got to be prepared to go to that dark place to do it and get there and achieve, especially if you're nowhere near at the moment. So yeah, mindset is everything first. Knowing yourself is everything first before you start putting those expectations into place.
Yeah, I love that main question you just had there about thinking about, are you physically in control of your life, or are you being controlled by something external, or by someone, or by an ideology? Because that is so rife, not just here. I think in so many areas of life, we have this perfect idea of what we want our life to be, and then suddenly you're blindly trudging through your life trying to fit into this thing that you think it should be, and you're not in control of your life or who you are or anything at all. And that's, you know, that can go kind of quite dark quite quickly if you're kind of setting your allegiance to something for too long, over a too long length of time, including bodybuilding. And I've seen it with people I know in this industry, where they've been doing it year in, year out, and they're not happy. They're not happy people. They've not been enjoying themselves. They've sacrificed so much, and then they wake up one day and go, what the hell am I doing this for? And you have to then do this, exactly the work we're talking about today, to work all that out. And, you know, when we're talking about like what goals are, it's okay to be the guy or the girl who just wants to put the bikini on, have fun, go for a challenge, enjoy that, and not need to have this pinnacle goal. Because certainly I think in our industry, there's this almost instant thought process of, I need to be pro now. And it's kind of a shame, because we're diluting all the other kind of small challenges and the cool stuff that you can get from this and the other opportunities it gives you, rather than just the pro card or the win or whatever else. But yeah, it's, are you doing it 100% for you? And it's a big question, that one.
Oh, it's so true. And what you said there really resonated about, you know, the people doing it for an extrinsic reason. And there is so many, like you said, who do that, and they wake up literally and realize, why am I doing this? And quite often what I found is that they get sucked into, they were doing it for the first couple of years and everything, and then their family and friends get into it and keep egging them on and egging them on. And over that time, subconsciously, they've kind of fallen out of love with it. But they're getting dragged along this crest of a wave of their friends and family. Oh, so what are you doing this year? What are we going to get? And they're like, they almost have to carry on because they want to win something for them. And it's now not even about themselves anymore. It's about those people. And they're almost like, I've had girls say to me, I really want to give up, but I just don't want to be considered a failure by everybody. So now, how badly are you not doing it for your own reasons now, right? You're now trying to just show everyone I've done it. It's actually sad, you know, and that's why you've got to do the intrinsic work all the time to make sure you're on the right track. Make sure, and like you said quite rightly, not just bodybuilding. This people could be listening to this who are bodybuilders, but they've also got a business, or they're working in corporate, or they've got a job and they're not happy in that. It's the same thing. Life's too short to waste time setting expectations and goals on things that are not making you happy. You do not have to. Everything's changed. Everything's online. Everything's on the internet. We've now also got blockchain technology, crypto, all of it. Everything's changed. You can do almost anything from your house now. You can change your life overnight. You do not have to live a life that is not true to your core values anymore. Don't do it. If you're listening to this, I'm pleading with you, stop it. Even if it's a boyfriend you're with and you're not happy anymore, leave. Don't worry about family and what they're going to say and all the rest of it. Do you. Do what's true to you. Businesses, relationships, sports, whatever it is, stay true to yourself, but always do the inner work and understand why you're there and what. I've got pros, well, there was 2 pros, I won't mention names, but who became pros, and after we've done some work and everything, they decided they're done. And it's deep as that. They worked so hard to become pros and then just decided that's it. I'm happy. And they're happy as sandpipers. They're happy as Larry after. It's like a massive weight. Oh my God. And it felt amazing for them because you don't have to do that thing every day anymore. You don't have to keep hitting them numbers. You don't have to keep doing the diets and everything. It's like you can tell the world, hey, I'm done. I'm ticking over. I still love the gym. I still love training, still love looking good, but just to a level. And that's it. And I'm done. Now I can enjoy my life, enjoy my relationships, build on my businesses, do other things. But it's just such a relief to be almost free of it. And the thing that holds a lot of people back, especially when you've been in a few years, is that thing again in the head of what will people say?
Yeah, I was just about to say that. I think you see, like, for the world of social media, of course, you're only seeing the sexy stuff on social media. You're not seeing the behind the scenes, the days of, whatever stress people are dealing with or whatever's going on in their world.
Tears.
And the tears, the anxieties, just all the craziness. But I think that people get so wrapped up in the sort of collective population that are on social media that they know nothing about, but they value almost their opinion of what they do on their social media themselves so highly that, that post or whatever you're putting out, you're petrified. And I've had this conversation with some of my clients, petrified of not showing up for this collective that you don't know. And it's crazy, this pressure that people put on themselves to be something to this world that we have now digitally, and not really understand the value internally at all. And I think
also on that point, Steff, is they also don't realize just how much people don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry again for being brutal, but no,
I love that.
Most people just don't give a shit. I'm sorry, they don't, and you're living this life that you're hating, or not even hating, maybe you're just not happy with anymore, you're over it now, the main buzz of it has gone over the last couple of years, and you're doing it because you're like, well, I'm always posting every day about my training and everything, and then what am I going to do? Just tell everyone, oh, by the way, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to keep training, but I'm not really bothered about competing anymore. Oh, I feel a failure. What will people think of me? I'll tell you, if you're listening to this, what people will think. They won't think.
They won't think at all.
They won't think at all. Maybe 2 or 3 of your closest people will say, oh, you stopping, are you? All right, okay. Well, why are you doing that? Well, I'm falling out of love with it. All right, great. Okay, well, what are we doing tonight anyway? That'll be it. That's going to be about the length of it. Because in life, psychologically, everybody is really just focusing on themselves, really. You'll get some close people who truly love you and care about you. That's it. The rest of them Do you know what they're thinking about, guys? They're thinking about that gas bill that needs paying. They're thinking about the kids that need feeding. They're thinking about the car that needs taxing at the end of the year. They're thinking about the insurance on the car. They're thinking about going on holiday. They're thinking about, do I need a COVID passport or not? You know what I mean? They're thinking about this stuff. So when you come to them with your major life-changing news that you're going to pull out of bodybuilding, when actually you haven't even won anything in bodybuilding, it's not major news. I'm sorry, you know, if that bursts your bubble, but it's not. Do what makes you happy, but don't stay in it because 3 or 4 people, you know, might say something. Or even if you've got 25,000 people on Instagram who follow you, it doesn't matter either. That you'll put that message up that you're out, and you'll get a few things underneath for that day. Oh, sorry to hear that. You were great. Well done. You know, don't worry. Do what you want to do. Be you. You'll get all that. I guarantee you 2 days later, everyone's forgotten. Yeah. Just do what you want to do.
It's also, I've had so many experiences where I work at a gym and people, so when I started competing internationally, people seem to be a little bit more interested for whatever reason. It seems like it's almost more important to people if you do it on the international stage. And I remember one guy, he's probably in his mid-70s, and very flippantly he came in one day and he was like, how did you get on in Portugal? Did you get top 3? And I was like, oh no, I didn't get top 3. And he was like, well, that's not very good, is it? And I'm thinking, now if that was, you know, when I was in the amateur division and I wasn't very successful, that would have absolutely ruined me. I would have been, you know, mulling that over for days and days and days. I would have probably done extra cardio, all the various things that we tend to do, you know, when we visit those docks places sometimes as athletes. But actually, because I know my why and I wanted to compete during COVID on the international stage, I was like, that's cool, mate. I did my prep. I'm really happy with my placing, and I moved on. But it's that managing how you take other people's flippant comments as well.
Yeah, massively. And people, you know, you can get one negative comment and people will jump on that more than they will the 100 who told you were great, because that's how we're wired as human beings. We're wired for that negative, and we look at that. So yeah, again, like you said quite rightly, knowing where you're going, knowing what journey you're on, knowing what you're trying to attain makes you a bit more bulletproof to all those people's opinions, because they are just opinions. And a lot of people in my position who do what I do talk about the fact that we should ignore people's opinions and everything, but we're not wired to ignore them. We are wired to actually take those opinions in. But what you've got to do is really, really analyze where they've come from and the validity of them. That's what's important. Because if I put a post up and somebody puts underneath, you know, Johnny 246 puts up underneath, what a load of rubbish, you don't know what you're talking about. And Johnny 246, I know, is sat in his house in Basingstoke in his boxer shorts with his fat belly and a glass of beer and a sandwich next to him or something, because he loves to troll people, right? It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
But if I got a comment underneath one of my posts from Tony Robbins saying, you weren't quite right there, you need to check fact that and look at that information you've given, that would be me straight away. Well, to be honest, actually, I probably wouldn't be bugged by that. I'd probably be chuffed that Tony Robbins is commenting on my, commenting on my stuff. I'm famous. Yeah, I would actually screenshot it and I would share it with my followers. So I wouldn't even be bothered.
Idol.
Yeah, I'd be like, hey, look, guys, even I can get it wrong. Tony Robbins has told me I got this wrong. So I just want to say, actually, it's this, this, and this. But I'd still have Tony Robbins talking to me. So listen.
I think, like you say, it's definitely having a look at who is saying the comment.
Yes.
And, you know, for me, I was just straight away, I just thought, you know, it wouldn't even be worth my energy, as it were, to go into, well, actually, that was my first time competing as a pro. No. It's a very good, you know, I'm trying to challenge myself in a different way. It's a different league of athletes, blah, 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 because he just would not understand. And that's, you know, no detriment to him. But like you say, they're not in the field that they're commenting on, basically.
Yeah. And he doesn't care. He doesn't care, Sarah. He doesn't care. You could come up with the most articulate, beautifully written prose in an answer and he wouldn't care. He is a troll. He's a troll. It's like all successful people in that field, whatever field, my field, your field, bodybuilding, whatever, they don't do that. They just don't. You know, you would not get a top bodybuilder, you know, Steff, you know, you've won your pro crowd, you've won your championships, you've done all that. How many times have you been on an up and coming bodybuilder's post and said, actually, you're not very good, you look crap, your legs need bringing in, this is terrible? When have you just gone out of your way? Someone you don't know, you've just jumped on and absolutely ripped the shit out of them. You just don't do it, right?
No, and it's not something that would ever go through your mind either, because you just like you say, unless you are just somebody with nothing better to do and a very you'd be a very unhappy person to do.
Yeah. Oh, we're just freezing a little bit. I'm just losing it a little bit here. Can you still hear me?
Yeah. Cool.
So yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying. It's all about those people. So what I say is, you know, to help people is, yes, you will notice negative comments. You know, all the people who say ignore it, this, that, and the other. Yeah, it's impossible. You can't. But what you need to do is just look at the validity of it. Look at what, you know, what right has that person got to write that stuff about you, and who are they? Because I guarantee you it won't be someone successful, because they just haven't, for one, they haven't got time to do it. And for two, they just don't want to do it. Why would a successful person want to do that to you? They just wouldn't. So always look at the validity of who it is. Always look at, you know, what is the reason for someone giving such horrible negative comments? Because nobody does that. It's not good feedback. And the people who do it are usually either jealous of what you're doing, or they're just a straight troll who's going on to do it to another 20 people that day as well. So don't worry about negative comments. Focus on yourself, focus on your journey, and always just focus on what you have to do to be a better version of yourself. That's all. And it's it between you, your coach, and that's it.
Yeah. I mean, Rob, what would probably be quite a nice way to wrap up today would be, you know, if people could look at coaching with yourself for this type of work that we spoke about right at the start of the session today. Yeah. If people were going to sort of do that themselves to get them started, or maybe they're not in a position to get a coach like yourself at the moment, what would be sort of the main, I guess, points that you would say for people to focus on if they were going to maybe like write down and sort of start to plan the rest of their year?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I would say, first of all, try and look at your core values. And there's a whole thing I do on core values, which helps you to get there. But fundamentally, just try and write out 6 words, or two, might be 1 or 2 words, but 6 words that just describe your core values. Because 99% of people don't know what their own core values are. They don't do that kind of work, because why would they? Why should they? Why? They don't even need to. So I get that, right? But find out what your core values are. In other words, what you stand for. You know, what's your, you know, it could be integrity, it could be honesty, it could be whatever it may be. But you have to understand what you stand for. What do you believe in, right? And I would get them to do that. And then I'd also look at their human needs, and what are your needs and what are your primary needs. Now, with human needs, if you go onto Google and Google 6 human needs, Tony Robbins actually does a lot of work on this. And also on YouTube, you can go and do Tony Robbins, 6 human needs. You'll see it all, and try and find out what are your top 2 needs. So what's important to you? What do you understand? So like mine is security, my number 1. And I've got a little bit of significance in there as well. But find out what your needs are, understand what you stand for. Then start looking at your goals. And once you've written down your goals, your 2 or 3 top goals for your bodybuilding, you know, year ahead, challenge them. So when you've wrote them out, stop, look back on them and go, challenge. When I say challenge them, I mean actually look at each one and say, why? Why is it that? And answer it for yourself. Why is it that I want that? Why? What is the real why? Not because, and the answer cannot be, oh, because it'd be nice. That's not an answer. It's why. Why do you need that? What is the significance behind that? Why do you need to get to Olympia? Why do you need to win a pro card? Why do you need, if you're doing it because it'll look really cool on Instagram when I post it, it's not strong enough. You won't get through the tough times. I'm telling you now, you will not get through the tough times. So the why is a fantastic question to ask yourself. Why do I need that? Why do I want to do it? And it's got to be an intrinsic thing, not an extrinsic thing. Because I'm telling you, if it's extrinsic, if it's anything to do with followers, likes, adulation from people, it's not going to be enough. We all like that. We're all human, and you'll get that if you're successful anyway. But if that's your primary driver, it's not going to happen. It's not going to be strong enough.
I always say that those things are like an added bonus. So if I get like an external comment or some gratification, I'm like, oh, that's really nice. But it doesn't. I'm at a point now, and Steff and I have spoken about this a lot, where it's not what motivates me, because those people aren't there on the dark days and the crying, and when everything's, you feel your whole world's falling apart because you're so sensitive and prep's getting really tough. But it is a nice, like you say, it's like a little cherry on top, isn't it? Oh, I got a really nice comment there, and you can take it in your stride as a little boost. Of course,
but like you said, which is more important, those people out there on your dark days, those people out there when you're walking into the gym with your hoodie up and it's pitch black and it's cold and sleeting and wet and rainy, and you've had to drag yourself off the sofa and get in your car or walk or whatever and get to the gym and go in and put the effort, get under that bar, grab that steel and push, and you really can't be bothered. You really want to be at home eating mince pies, watching Christmas films and getting drunk, those people, on those days when you actually get up and do go to the gym and do a good workout and get home, there's nobody there to write well done under a post, because there's not even a post of that, is there? They don't know. So what's going to get you to do that every day without all that patting on the back? That's what you've got to ask. That's why your why is so important for each one of your goals.
Yeah, definitely. Is there anything, Steff, that you wanted to ask Rob while we've got him on before we finish up today?
I think we've covered so much. And as always, Rob, like, you have such a great way of kind of getting the balance right, I think, between getting to the heart and the crux of kind of the issues some people might be facing, or certainly the questions that you should be asking yourself. And this time of year, being January, it's a time of year where everyone's in a bit of a lull, in a headspace. So I think now more than ever, these are really, really vital questions to ask, so that you are setting yourself up for a really good year, but also being like prepared for any hurdles that you might come up against, and being okay with that, but knowing that you've done some of this prior to even getting to that, so you maybe have a bit of a buffer or a toolkit ready and prepared for those challenges that you might face. So I love how you come at things. I think there's some absolute gems in here for people who are listening to take away.
Cool. Yeah, like you said as well, Rob, it's for general population as well. It's not just bodybuilding. It could be people that are working, or whatever your goal is. All of this is relevant to goal setting and moving forward.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you've got to the main thing is your dreams, your goals, your aspirations. You've just got to want them bad. That's where the why comes in. And that's why all that stuff I talked about to prepare for it is so important, because you've got to understand what it is that you want. And if it's bad enough, if you want it bad enough, it help you get through everything. And all the people I've worked with, all the people who I've not even worked with and I've watched to get to the pinnacle of their sort of careers, they just were super, super focused. They just blinkered. They just wanted it so bad. And it wasn't for the gram. It wasn't for all that. It was just something inside them that was just niggling away at them so much. They just believed. They believed they could get there. They believed they were good enough, but they had to just keep. I remember talking to you, Steff, when we used to bump into each other in the gym and have those hour-long chats and stuff.
They were marathons.
They were marathons we had in there. But I used to see you come in there. I think I touched on it last time. And there were certain days where you had your hoodie up and you'd walk in there and you were dark. There were some days where it was like, nobody talk to me, nobody come near me. I'm just here to do what I've got to do. And you used to just be dark. And that's what it's about. And your dreams, your goals, your aspirations have to be in that level. I mean, it always reminds me, when I was doing some talks and stuff, I used to always give this quote, and the quote was by, I loved it. It was by Christopher Reeve. Remember the guy who played Superman, who broke his neck in that tragic accident. He fell off the horse and he was paraplegic. And he was being interviewed once, and he said, it was something like, don't paraphrase me, but it was something like, so many of our dreams at first seem impossible, then they seem improbable, but when we summon up the will, they soon become inevitable. And it's that impossible to inevitable that is what it's about. And it's the will in the middle that really gets it for me. You've got to have the will, and you don't get that kind of dark will from likes and pats on the back and well done. They're not enough. They're just not enough. They're not.
And it is something I always say to people is don't, this sounds a bit, it might come across negative, but don't be afraid to be really selfish with your time, with your energy, with your focus and intention on what you set your mind to, because we get pulled in so many directions. And if you let a lot of those kind of outside thoughts come in, or outside sort of, people veer you off track, you will potentially lose sight of like that razor sharp picture. And it doesn't mean you have to be like a martyr, and a ruthless kind of.
Not at all, yeah.
You can be really, really focused and razor sharp and completely, zoned into what you want and achieve it, whilst being able to be a really community-driven person as well. But it's really finding what that is out for yourself and protecting your space and energy to be able to achieve it.
I think that's a great point you make there, Steff, actually, about you can do all of that and be almost this kind of monster, but still be community driven, still hang out with your friends, still take time for your family, still do all that. But, it's just harder. That's all. But you can. And another thing I always say to clients is the late, great Jim Rohn quote of, don't ask for life to be easier, ask for you to be better. That's it. It's as simple as that. So when clients come to me whinging and crying about something, I just won't entertain the pity party. You've decided this is what you want. That's it. But also make time for make time for the people around you, make time for your family, make time for your social life, make time for sleep, make time for downtime. You've just got to do it. There's 24 hours in a day. Everybody's got the same. There's Olympians out there who have won multiple Olympic championships or whatever, and they've got kids, partners, they've got massive businesses, some of them, right? So they're in meetings and all sorts and stuff like that. They've got sponsorship deals, all sorts going on. So they're busier than you, and you're just trying to win a British title or something or whatever, right? You've got time. You can do it all, but you've got to, like I said earlier, about having that attention to detail and discipline and all the rest. You've just got to have it all. And this is some of the stuff I've been working on with someone in particular right at the moment. And it's about getting down to the nitty gritties. You've got to look at your whole day. Remember when I said earlier about organization? You've got to be organized because you've got to break it down and say, right, this is what I'm going to do here. This is what, I need to go and spend a weekend with my parents next weekend. Right. So this means this week I've got to train a bit different to get everything in that I would normally do at the weekend, so I don't miss out on that stuff. And it's just having that discipline. And again, if you don't want to do it and you can't be bothered, it means, hey, guess what? You don't want it bad enough.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. It's learning how to prioritize, isn't it? And, working out what is a priority for you. Mm-hmm. And Steff and I always try and get across as well, when you're in a prep, yes, it needs to be rigid and routine, etc. But there is seasons as a competitor, like your off season, where you can incorporate so much more of the social side. And, it goes back to, if you've got the right people around you, they will fully support that, and they'll look forward to spending more time in the off season with you, maybe. So there's so many different ways to look at it. It's not all, I can't do anything when I'm in prep, but you're maybe going to need to do less than potentially, say, an off season.
Yeah, I just think some people like to fall on their sword a little bit, and they get a bit carried away with it. Oh, I can't do anything. I can't even talk to you. And it's nonsense. Even in high prep, it's nonsense. You don't have to live like a monk. You don't have to do that. You've just got to have boundaries and be firm with things, and that's it. But you don't have to. Prep does not change your personality. So you don't have to turn into a dick just because you're on prep, and that's just, there'll be times, don't get me wrong, where you will be a dick because, maybe your hormones are all over the place and you just, you know, you've lost it or whatever, but they'll be few and far between. You don't have to. It's all about control. It's all about doing things correctly. You don't have to be nasty to people, you know, constantly throughout your prep. You might have a bad day, but that's just being a human. That's normal.
Yeah.
I think as well, it's just trying to, I say more in prep because your time management is different. You know, like you mentioned earlier, Rob, you might be training twice a day. You might need to do more food prep because off season can be a bit easier because you can bulk cook, you know, things, and you're not in your calorie deficit. So it's a little bit easier to do that. So, but there's definitely, you know, scope in what you say. Maybe when you're doing things like steps, go for a walk with a friend rather than normally if you go out with them, you can say, oh, should we go for a walk? So, you know, think about it. Think about those people that you want to use your energies on. And actually it can be, even though sometimes I'm definitely, you know, in a tail end of a prep, I'm like, shit, you know, I don't even know if I can go for this walk. Once you've done it and you've spoken to your friend, spent some time with them and they're away from your bodybuilding, it's actually very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, definitely. And that's really important, that of interchanging different things within your prep, but to include people outside so you kill two birds with one stone, you know.
Yeah.
You know, go play tennis with a friend, you know, so you get in your cardio in, but you're with your friend and you're having a good time as well. So it's stuff like that I talk about with some people as well. So I have this whole graph thing, and with these lines and stuff, it's hard to explain on here, but how can you interact things so that you're killing two birds with one stone? And once you can do that, it makes life a lot easier as well. But again, it goes back to organization.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally. So if the listeners, if anyone was interested in potentially looking at using your services, Rob, or, you know, following you on Instagram or whatever that may be, what's the best way to reach out to you?
Yeah, I'm on all the socials, usual, just holler. I'm crazy busy at the moment.
Rob Latti.
But Rob Latti, Latti on Twitter. I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram. If my name or something is under here somewhere when you post it, I don't know, but it's
we can do that.
ROBLATTI, Rob Latti, and you can get me on socials.
Cool. And would it be best for people to sort of send you a DM on Instagram or go via the website, or you don't really mind?
Okay, just send a DM. I've got a VA that might answer them, but it may be me as well. So just send me a DM saying, hey Rob, heard you on this podcast, like to have a chat, and that's it. And then reach out and I'll organize a quick Zoom call. We'll have a chat and what I call a discovery call to make sure I am right person to work with you, and make sure you're the right fit for me as well. So I don't just take everybody on. So and then we just go from there. It's simple and painless, but fun.
Awesome.
That's what we like.
Yeah, we'll put all of your details in the blurb underneath this podcast as well, so everyone can find you.
Awesome. It's been great. Thanks,
Perfect.
guys. Thanks for having me again. It's been wonderful. I always love these chats, and hopefully we can do it again sometime.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for coming on.
All right, guys.
Thank you so much, Rob. And we look forward to potentially getting you onto a future episode, which I'm sure we could maybe tee up at some point.
Awesome.
Cool.
Okay. Have a great day, guys. Thank you.
See you later,
Thanks, guys. Have a great year. Speak to you soon.